Gentlemen, it's the most wonderful time of the year.
Really excited about Christmas, aren't you?
Well, I always love Christmas. Christmas is awesome, but we've got a lot more to be excited about this year.
All right, I'll bite. What's got you so excited?
The Book of Boba Fett, Hawkeye, Spider-Man, The Matrix, and a bunch of other stuff. There's just so much of it.
Yeah,
We have much to be thankful for this holiday season.
You're such nerds.
That was awesome, BB Nate. God bless us, everyone. Yeah, we'll express our deep felt gratitude next. This is Tatooine Sons.
It's true. All of it.
What is the name of the porg on the Millennium Falcon?
Force is strong in my family.
What do you think his name is? It's a big moment.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Maybe Turbis?
Do or do not. There is no try.
Turbis? Pablo, if you're listening to this live stream, that porg's name is now Turbis. It's a good Star Wars name.
We're not done yet.
These guys recorded an awesome podcast called Tatooine Sons. Everybody listen to it.
You have the right to be a little worn out tonight.
I do have the right.
4 a.m. is when we got our tickets?
Yeah, 4:30, I think, actually.
It was funny because I woke up this morning, I saw we had tickets. I was like, oh, that's awesome. Then I went onto Twitter and everybody was like, oh my gosh, nobody's got tickets and it's all, and everybody was losing their mind. I'm like, man, we're really lucky. And then BB Nate got up. Really quick, BB Nate, 30 seconds, tell what happened.
I got into a queue at 11 o'clock, took 50 minutes. I got 4 seats, but the seats glitched out and I couldn't get them and it kicked me out. And then I got back into the queue and it was more than an hour wait. I decided to call it at 1:30 and take a little nap and set an alarm for a little bit. The alarm didn't go off, but my body woke me up at around 4, and so I was able to get tickets for Friday night at that point. So
Dang.
Yeah, and that was because we were going for IMAX in Pensacola, reserved seating. But we just got tickets for Thursday at 6:30 p.m. in Gulf Shores with the girl, with Savannah. And so we're going to go see it Thursday night and Friday night.
yeah.
So it all works out. Thank you, BB Nate.
Double
Happy to
Spider-Man.
help.
You're the awesomest. You're the amazingest. Welcome to Tatooine Sons, a pop culture podcast, the only fan podcast to name a canon Star Wars creature and be endorsed by Rian Johnson, who was the writer and the director of The Last Jedi, which is trending today.
How so?
On Twitter, because people are expressing their love
Hey.
for The Last Jedi
Good.
all day long. And a couple people are being toxic and everybody's
That's always how it
Why
is.
are we not?
it's not even like they're acknowledging them at all. So anyway, we believe that pop culture is the mythology of our generation, that there is a story and it is written on our souls and that these myths speak to that story. And that is why we are talking today about the first couple episodes of Hawkeye. And we're speculating a little bit irresponsibly about the Book of Boba Fett and the future of Star Wars. I'm David. I'm the dad.
Hi, Dad.
Hi, Dad.
Hi, guys. I'm honored to be joined every week by my awesomeness sons.
About that, but
Yeah, how you doing, Sam?
good.
What you talking about?
Boba Fett. Yeah, well, yeah. Are we surprised? I mean, apparently Boba Fett is too cool to have a beast mode. Okay, he gets a barbarian mode.
Oh, nice. What about you, BB Nate?
Well, the greatest Avenger with terrible brand recognition finally got a solo project.
There you go.
We'll talk about that. You, Dad?
Kathleen Kennedy and Dave Filoni have made some very interesting comments about Star Wars in the last week, and so we have to talk about those because they're going to be fun. Some of them are great, and some of them are really just really great. Anyway, this episode is sponsored by cufflinks.com.
It is.
And we are so excited to have them as our sponsor. They have over 3,000 items on their website from Star Wars, Marvel, DC, Lord of the Rings, NFL, NCAA, Major League Baseball, NBA, and everything else that you can think of. I wanted to say Roll Tide, but it was more like sort of trip over the finish line tide this weekend. Anyway, we are very honored to be sponsored by them. Thank you guys so much for doing that. If you are new to the show, well, welcome. We are glad that you are here. This is a safe space for your fandom. We even if we disagree with you on things, we're going to do it nicely and we're not going to be toxic. Dang it. Dang it, Sam's like, I'm getting ready to go to finals week. I'm toxic right now. So, yeah, anyway, so please follow the show on whatever app you're listening to us on and follow us on all of our socials. Our schedule is pretty simple. Tuesday mornings, you get this show in your feed, which is our flagship show.
Yeah, I think that's what I would call it.
The one where the one that kind of started it all, and it's evolved over the years, but it's still the three of us geeking out about pop culture and Star Wars and Spider-Man and Hawkeye and Marvel and DC and a bunch of other stuff, right?
Yeah.
We're going to actually go
DC in a while.
We are, because there hadn't been anything happening in DC for a while, but we're going to be geeking out about Cobra Kai here in just a few weeks too.
That comes out.
So basically, at the same time as Book of Boba Fett, one of you guys are going to have the Boba Fett series. I think that'll probably be Sam, and the other's going to have Cobra Kai.
Alrighty.
For us to geek out about. And then I'll find some Star Wars to talk about. Other than Book of Boba Fett. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll take something completely different because we're going to have Boba Fett every
that's
week.
true.
That's pretty cool.
There might be other news.
Fridays, we have our interview series. This Friday, I am super excited to have Josh Sala, or Saleh. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I should have asked him. Saleh.
He didn't introduce himself or anything?
No, because I don't do that on the show. You guys should actually listen to the interview series once so you know what it sounds like.
Well, we're not on it, so it's not good. No.
I know.
Wow. And the toxicity begins.
All right. Let's talk about Josh because he's actually cool. He hosts Marvel's Let's Play, where he interviews, plays with, and showcases Marvel talent, game developers, and fans. His Marvel hosting background also includes movie premieres, Marvel gaming tournaments, and numerous Comic-Con panels, as well as Marvel Minute. And that's going to be out Friday. And we have a great conversation about comic books and Marvel and everything else. Enough about Friday. Let's talk about today. BB Nate, what you got for us?
Yes, the greatest Avenger finally got a solo project, and it was better than I could have hoped for. And I think we got the greatest animal in the MCU in this show, too. We'll talk all about that in a bit.
If anything happens to him, we riot.
Have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight?
Yeah, I can fly.
I'm here to fight for truth and justice in the American way.
The people in this room, which one is A, wearing a spangly outfit, and B, not of use?
There's only one God, man, and I'm pretty sure he doesn't dress like that.
That man has no limits.
The pizza dog, or in this show,
Pizza dog? Is that literally his name?
Well, in this show, it's just the pizza dog, but in the comic, it is Lucky the pizza dog because he eats pizza all the time.
Okay,
so
that's cool.
I like nice. I like how they made that connection, but he was seriously awesome in this show.
Yeah,
I love it.
People are massively geeking out about him.
They should be. It's awesome.
He seems amazing, and there are some people that think that it's a scroll thing where he is actually.
It's like a flirkin, kind of like
it is. It's like a flirkin
goose.
But it's actually, they think it might be Nick Fury because of the eye.
Ah,
okay.
All right.
Wow.
It's Marvel.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Exactly.
Alrighty. Hawkeye episode 1, Never Meet Your Heroes. Rate it from 1 to 10 Avengers flashbacks.
Ooh. Then 1 to 10. I'm going to give it like a 7.
Okay.
I mean, it was
IGN?
fine. No, it was fine, but it was all backstory. I mean, and you know what you're getting with it. And it, honestly, they knew what they were doing with it. That's why they put the second episode out so that they'd be like, okay, we don't want to hear a week that people were like, yeah, that was fine, but we really want to see what happens. Let's put the next episode out. So,
Sam?
Yeah, I'd probably give it a 7. It was just a lot of setup and putting the pieces on the board and introducing you to the characters and all of that, which I'm not complaining about. It's good. It's necessary for any good story. But I am glad that they followed it up with the second episode. But it wasn't a bad episode by any means, I don't think. It's just we know what Marvel TV can put out, and I'm just waiting for that at this point.
Absolutely.
I mean,
what'd you give it?
Rogers' musical alone gets a 10 out of 10. I'd give this episode an 8. It was one of the strongest premieres for an MCU show yet. It was Very well done. And so,
tell us why.
Logline: Archer Kate Bishop lands in the middle of a criminal conspiracy, forcing Hawkeye out of retirement. Now, speaking of Kate Bishop, this version of Kate Bishop has been practically pulled from the pages of the Fraction run for the series. Her story is, of course, a bit different, but she acts the same way, and her achievements, you know, being a great archer and having all these awards and learning all this stuff from her childhood, are all of the same from that run. So, what did y'all think of Kate in this show?
I think it's an interesting character. I mean, I was wondering how they were going to have some girl just be great at everything to the point where she's able to be an understudy to Clint Barton, one of the greatest spies of all time. And they did it in a way that makes sense. She's just really athletic and great in gymnastics and taekwondo and archery. It makes sense. And I liked that concept. Plus, she's a fun character. I mean, shoot, who's playing her? She's been in other stuff.
Haley Steinfeld.
She's a great actress, and she fits this character well. It's fun. It feels good for Marvel.
Although I kind of am waiting for the acapellas to come in. And start
that
singing
too.
with her.
Yeah,
I was thinking Bumblebee.
I was thinking Bumblebee as well.
Yeah, well, I've honestly seen the Pitch Perfect movies more than I have Bumblebee.
Ouch.
I've seen Bumblebee once.
So
Bumblebee's good.
You know, giving yourself to torture more than you have
they're
to
not
enjoy.
terrible. Honestly, they're sort of my guilty pleasure. All right,
Dad admits.
The third one is bad.
exactly. No, I like Kate Bishop. I think that going back to what you were saying, Sam, they needed that moment at the beginning, going back to 2012, to show what her motivation is.
Yeah, that too.
In order for you to understand her like laser focused commitment to learning the martial arts, to learning archery. She's obsessed with Hawkeye. Because of that moment at the beginning of the series. And then she's committed to being the hero as a way to protect her and her mother.
Right.
And so I liked that character development. And then it was cool to see them show that during the title sequence before the first episode, how they kind of played it out in graphic form.
Yeah, and I saw this, I think it was a headline or something saying that the Avengers can create or can inspire heroes and not just villains, because you hear of so many villains, being hurt by the Avengers. It's cool to see some heroes rise up from the Avengers.
Yeah, what did you think about Kate Bishop?
I really enjoyed the character. I think it's a lot of fun. I think that it would fit perfectly into a Young Avengers scenario.
Absolutely.
I'm really excited to see where they go with it. I think that I'm excited to see if they bring Yelena in and in
this series here.
I'm wondering if we'll see Kate and Yelena fight. That would be really awesome.
Well, they kind of connected to that though with that after credits scene in Black Widow,
with
and
the Hawkeye.
so
that's why I'm.
So I think that would be a cool moment.
It would be. And now for the titular character himself, Clint Barton. Now Clint is spending some much needed time with his kids in New York after the blip. He has given up the Ronin mantle and is now just Clint Barton. And so we see him at the play with his kids, and he actually,
I can do this all day.
Clint's calling out continuity errors. And
I noticed
awesome.
the Ant-Man thing. I'm glad they pointed that out.
That was awesome. But we learn in this that he is losing hearing or has lost hearing in one of his ears, and so he turns off a hearing aid so he doesn't have to listen to the play. I love that. But he also is just being noticed by so many people, but not inspired by those. Those people aren't inspired by Clint. They're just like, oh, you're a famous person.
Basically,
I love you. Yeah, I've always loved you, but
there is
really
that moment in the Chinese restaurant where they give him his meal, him and his family's meal free, and they're like, thank you, you deserve this and all that. So there is an understanding, a respect for Hawkeye. But you're right. He's not the superhero glamorous.
He's not Steve Rogers.
Right. Exactly.
He's not Iron Man. I mean, the guy has to take him a selfie with him in the bathroom. Like, you don't do that with somebody that you might be inspired by.
And speaking of amazing Avengers and Marvel connections in the bathroom at a urinal, tune in to our interview episode with Josh on Friday. All right. That's all I got to say. All right.
But Clint actually had picked up a mission in this series after Kate dons the Ronin suit. He actually has to get home in time for Christmas. So what did y'all think of seeing Hawkeye finally getting his own show? And do you like where they're going with his character in this?
I like how we are seeing the burden of being Hawkeye on him, and how he's reluctant. He's already in his backstory before this series. He's already left a couple of times being an Avenger, you know, in order to be with his family. And now in the wake of the blip and Thanos and I think the guilt of being Ronin during that time, I think that he feels an obligation to continue to sort of take up a leadership role within this group, within the Avengers and all of that. And so he feels obligated to do the things that he's doing. At the same time, he's reluctant. He doesn't want to. And I honestly think, I'm just going to say it right here at this point in the first episode reaction, I think that by the end of this series, we're going to see that Hawkeye is going to hang up the bow.
Yeah.
At this point, I think he's turning it over throughout this series. I think the Hawkeye is going to be Kate Bishop becoming Hawkeye.
And that's what happens really in the Fraction run too. So that it would fit.
Yeah, I like where they're going with this character a lot. I like how we're seeing how he's not a superhero. Like, he's losing his hearing. It's such a small thing, but it's really a neat touch. Like, I like how she's like, how'd you lose your hearing? I think that might have been in the beginning of the second episode, but she's like, how'd you lose your hearing? And they go back and show all these flashbacks of him getting blown up and thrown around and stuff. Like, that's going to take a toll on a dude who's just a human, you know? So I really like how they're showing how he's just a dude who's fighting for the right thing.
Yeah, and I think that that's the important element that we have to remember about Hawkeye is he's not super powered. Mom had that conversation with us while we were watching it with her. She's kind of like, oh, he doesn't have superpowers, you know, and I think that's an important part of this.
What I'm liking about these shows, you know, we had this with Falcon and Winter Soldier 2. They're showing the more human side of all of these superheroes, and it's something you don't see all that often. So I'm really loving what they're doing with Hawkeye, because he's always been, I mean, even more than Black Widow, he's always been the more vulnerable hero of the Avengers. Now, for the bad guys in this first episode, at least, are the Tracksuit Mafia. Definitely an interesting group. They attacked a black market auction that Kate was at, and that's how she got the Ronin suit. And they also end almost every sentence with bro, which is actually straight from the Faction run. Where do you think they'll go with this group in later episodes? Now, this might touch into episode 2, but right now, when you were watching episode 1, where did you think they were going to go?
Oh, they were definitely, I knew they were going to be the pressure of this series. They were going to be coming after this Ronin suit and whoever had it and whatever, and trying to find the people who behind it. And there's that weird watch that we still don't know anything about even after episode 2. So we're still trying to figure out what that is. So there's definitely, they're not done with these characters. And I mean, it's fun. It's a fun group because, like, sure, they're bad guys, but they're also kind of funny too. Like, with them going bro all the time. They're a fun group, but they fit this series well. They're a smaller group, so it's not like an Avengers level threat that needs taken care of. They're just a mafia, a gang, but they're still funny.
It's a group that fits Hawkeye not being part of the Avengers in this moment.
Right.
You know, the Tracksuit Mafia are not superheroes. They're not super powered, and neither is Hawkeye, and neither is Kate Bishop.
Yeah.
And so they need a villain that matches up with them. It's even different than Falcon and the Winter Soldier, because in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, you still have Bucky, who is super powered. You have all that tech with the fancy suit.
And you have all the Flag Smashers who are super powered and all this stuff.
This one is much more grounded in reality, and that's what makes this one a lot more fun. And honestly, having, prepared for this series like we have, talking about it on the show before, I do know that there's this, the whole series even talks about it so far, about this like connection to the mafia and to the underworld in New York, which then sets up other characters. So
it definitely sets up other characters. But okay, so we don't even know what the watch is, or all we know is that it's a watch from Avengers Compound. That's literally it. So any theories from y'all as to what it could be? Speculate irresponsibly.
Yeah, I had a theory as soon as I saw it. I mean, I don't know if this is it, and it's kind of lame if you think about it, but my best guess is it allows you to get into the compound. It's got some like RFID thing. You hold it up to the gate and they let you through. That's my guess with it. I don't know what else you would want a specific watch from an Avengers Compound for. So I don't know. Maybe it calls it a Quinjet or something.
I do remember at some point in the previous Avengers storylines or Marvel MCU storylines that Tony has a nano suit in a watch.
A nano glove.
Oh, it's a glove.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
That's
it
all
was in Winter Soldier.
So maybe they're looking to get some tech, some nanotech and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm wondering about that. Anyway, that's all I could think of at this one.
Yeah,
Did Lucky eat it?
No.
Oh, okay.
I don't think so.
Okay.
No.
We don't know where it is.
No, we have no clue where it is.
I wonder if Lucky ate it.
That'd be awesome.
Then they're going to kill Lucky to get it.
No, he's going to turn into Iron Paw.
Iron Paw.
I don't know. I just made that character up. Marvel, give me credit when you make that.
That's right. We'll name a Marvel character since we named a Star Wars.
Yeah, might as well.
Right.
They're going to do a League of Super Pets thing. Like
make Iron Paw canon. Here we go. Let's get it trending today.
All right. That was all for the first episode. Fantastic episode. But now for the second one, Hide and Seek. A rating of 1 to 10 bros.
I'll give this one an 8.
Okay.
It was much better than the first one, not because the first one was bad, but because there was more story development in it. And I got to see, Hawkeye go LARPing. So.
Yeah, I would give this one an 8 or a 9. It's kind of starting to go. I appreciated how it didn't have any real violence at all.
No.
It was all like either make believe or fencing or like sports and stuff, right? No violence whatsoever, yet it still was fun. It had action, I guess. I mean, it was a great episode all around, but there's that Jack character, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a fun episode for sure.
I think we're going to be getting this as a little bit more of a lighthearted crime show.
It's a Christmas show.
It's a Christmas show. Exactly. It's set during Christmas. So that definitely, I'm going to give it an 8 or a 9. I mean, I loved it just because it's Hawkeye and I'm so happy to have Hawkeye having his own thing. The logline, Clint has to help Kate okay.
You had that. You wrote this word.
I did not. You did.
I did? Disentangle.
Yes. Disentangle.
Oh, that's right. It's the log line.
Exactly. Disentangle herself from the tracksuit mafia and a real life murder mystery.
Dun, dun.
Now, let's talk about Jack and his mysterious motive, maybe. Jack is a very mysterious man, and we practically know nothing about him, and neither does Kate. So, do y'all think that Jack killed Armand?
He's going to get that wrong.
Duquesne?
It's Duquesne.
Duquesne. I'm just saying it phonetically. The third. And if so, what is his motive?
It's Duquesne.
That's Duquesne.
It is.
There's an S in there.
It's Duquesne. It's like a French word.
I'm going with Duquesne.
It's Duquesne. It really is.
Duquesne. All
right. So what was your question? Because I wasn't listening.
Do you think that Jack killed Armand? And if so, what do you think his motive is? Of course, this is theory because we know nothing about Jack.
Well, I definitely think Jack killed Armand. I think Jack is your big villain at this point.
I wouldn't be too sure. There was an argument between her mother, Kate's mom, and Armand pretty early in on the episode.
Okay. Well, you asked my opinion, not yours.
I know. I was just informing you.
My opinion is that Jack killed Armand. I don't know why. There we go.
I mean, Jack is definitely acting very shady. And this kind of character in a show always frustrates me to no end, yet I also love it at the same time. It's just a fun character where like the good guy just cannot prove them wrong, even though they know for a fact. As to if they killed Armand or not, I don't know. I think we're led to believe that that's the case right now, but it might be the mom, because I know the mom she's the bad guy in the Fraction run, right? I think it's probably the mom, and Jack is like covering up for her, or he's got something else going on, or he's in on it. I think we're led to believe that at the moment, but I don't know if that's going to end up being the case.
Yeah, definitely. Now let's talk about Clint and his LARPing. Now this whole sequence was absolutely amazing. And what was y'all's favorite moment from it?
I thought it was a lot of fun just because, at first Clint was like, this is the dumbest thing I have ever seen. And then for a second there, he kind of lets go and he has fun with it a bit. And I think, the best part was when the guy wearing the Ronin suit was like, you got to fight me. And he's like, I fought Thanos. Like, this is such a joke right now. But it was just fun to see Clint be a person for a little bit, and just let go. And while it was cheesy, it was just a fun look at the character.
It was a lot of fun.
It was, as someone who's participated in Renaissance fairs as a teenager and, in full costume and all of that. And basically that's LARPing at a whole new level. when you're at those. I mean, my first kiss was from a wench named Prudence, just so you gentlemen know this. At the Renaissance Fair in Colorado. And I still, I was like, I didn't want to wash my cheek for weeks as a 12, 13-year-old kid who got a kiss from a wench. Very busty Prudence.
Wow. I'm
anyway,
glad you remember that. Mom?
Full adult, man. It was awesome. And so I relived a little bit of that. And I wanted to say that just to see how far I could get Nathan embarrassed.
Awesome.
And it worked. All right, there we go.
All right. Now,
Moving on.
I love that scene. It was awesome. You kind of just noticed he was like, these people really are just not as talented as me. So he's just like walking through, just defeating everybody. It was awesome. Now, we have to talk about Echo. Now she was actually introduced in Daredevil, in the Daredevil comic run as a bad guy, and then eventually became an Avenger. Funny enough, she became an Avenger by becoming Ronin. And she's also deaf, which is the exact opposite of Daredevil. And she is highly proficient in, martial arts.
And we saw her for like 4 seconds.
Yes, we saw her for like 4 seconds at the end. But what's very interesting about her is that she does become an Avenger, and she's very tied. She is a bad guy of Daredevil, not a bad guy of Marvel Comics. She's a bad guy of Daredevil. So it's interesting that they're bringing into this for Hawkeye, and
we know that this is the Echo that the
TV show
yes, for.
Exactly. Okay. And she's very closely tied to Kingpin. She was actually the adopted daughter of Kingpin after Kingpin killed her mother in the comics. And so how do y'all think we will see Kingpin introduced in the series, if we even do it all?
Well, you got the Ronin backstory where Hawkeye Ronin, Clint Ronin, was taking out organized crime in New York City. And there's no bigger name in organized crime in New York City in the Marvel universe than Kingpin. Vincent D'Onofrio actually tweeted something about this and says, I really like the look of this show. I'm excited about these Marvel shows. Really, Vince? I mean, seriously.
Come on.
You didn't do that for any of the other Marvel shows? You've got to be kidding me.
So he's definitely coming in. He's going to be your big villain at the end.
I hope.
And I do think that storyline is going to be what twists Echo from being sort of the bad guy in this, maybe to the good guy that she's going to have to become before the Echo series comes out.
I think we're going to be seeing Echo finding out that Kingpin killed her mother, and then Kate helping Echo become an Avenger, leading in somebody new.
I'd go for that.
I would love that. Sammy, do you think we see Kingpin? And if so, how is he introduced? Do you think he's just introduced by Echo? Or
no, I don't think we see that character until well towards the end, though, like in an end credit scene or something. But yeah, I think he's definitely coming in. Although I don't think he's the big bad guy. I'm pretty sure it's Mephisto. We haven't seen him in any of the other series, so he's got to come in now. Mephisto's lucky.
Yes, that's
whoa.
What it is.
That's it.
Definitely.
That's it.
It could
You heard it here first.
I think you're onto it. All right, so for a dad moment.
I am your father.
Today, one of the most powerful things about these epic stories is that they help us connect with the stories in our own lives. As a dad, I can kind of relate to the pull that Clint feels in these couple of episodes. He just wants to be home for Christmas with his family, but he also knows that there are responsibilities that need to be taken care of. None of us are carrying the weight of having been a notorious vigilante or hero who fought Thanos.
That you know of.
That we're going to actually admit to and give up our secret identity. But anyway, many of us are living day to day with this feeling like we should be working when we're with our families, and then we should be with our families when we're working. So it's going to be interesting to see how that subplot plays itself out in this show.
Hawkeye had a very strong opening and might just be my favorite MCU show so far, but I'm a little biased. We have a third episode coming out tomorrow when you hear this, in 2 days for us. But yeah,
very exciting. Good job, BB Nate.
Thank you.
Good job.
Minimal sleep. Taking one for the team, getting us tickets to Spider-Man. Thank you for doing that.
Thanks, bro.
All right. Don't get too excited about the rumors of a certain sequel trilogy director returning to Star Wars soon. Do you want an X-Men streaming series or a film?
Yes.
Apparently Kevin Feige and Disney can't decide. And the Batman star and its director apparently can't stand each other. That's up next on Bad News.
This is not going to go the way you think.
All right, gentlemen, I got to wear some cufflinks to church yesterday.
Yeah.
That was kind of fun. I got my shirt out of the dry cleaner, so I wore my Darth Vader with a red bow tie.
Nice.
It's looking good.
Cufflinks, they are awesome. I love those cufflinks.
Those are pretty cool.
I need to get a new white shirt that fits, so I can wear my Millennium Falcon cufflinks. I mean, that's one that I definitely have to watch.
Yeah, those are pretty cool. I've actually worn those.
Yeah, you wore cufflinks yesterday.
I did.
BB-8.
I wore BB-8 ones.
That's cool. And your tie bar and all that. What about you, Sam? Did you wear any cufflinks.com yesterday?
I wear like the same thing each week, but the tie, a tie
gotta get
bar.
some new ones.
I know. And the socks.
I wonder if we should dress up for the Spider-Man premiere and
which one?
Well, the one we're going to go to on the 16th or whatever, and see if we could wear like Spider-Man cufflinks and stuff. That'd be kind of fun. Anyway, I just that's all I got to say about that. I love cufflinks. They've got so much stuff that I like. I need more socks.
We needed more everything, man.
I need more socks. I need. I don't really wear a tie bar because it's hard to wear a tie bar with a bow tie.
I mean, you could.
It wouldn't look right.
No, I mean, you are wearing a tie, and it is a tie bar, so
it doesn't make sense. But anyway, I would wear a lot of the other stuff that they have there. They have so much.
They do
available.
I mean, they have over 3,000 items on the website covering not just cufflinks, but ties, tie bars, socks, money clips, and other great products.
Sam, will you describe what a tie bar is for people that may not
bar
know?
out of tie.
Yeah, it's a tie bar. No, you wear it. It clips your tie to your shirt, so it keeps your tie from flopping around and getting into stuff. Plus, they look cool.
They do look cool.
Because you don't see people wearing tie bars all the time. But y'all, it's one day till December by the time y'all are listening to this, which means it's like 25 days till Christmas. And I promise you that's going to go way faster than you're expecting, especially with all this cool stuff we're getting over the month. You gotta start shopping. So if you're wanting some cool Star Wars or whatever dressy stuff, use the code Tatooine15.
Or if you're listening to the show and you're going to the red carpet premiere of Spider-Man,
that too.
You should just go and
cufflinks,
brand up.
Yeah,
man.
Get some cufflinks at Tatooine15 because you got to go to the red carpet, but on a budget. Tatooine15 receive 15% off everything on the site with no minimum order required.
That's right. So head on over to cufflinks.com today. Remember to use the code Tatooine15. At checkout. I really kind of started to want to try to sound like the pod racer announcer for Phantom Menace.
But you kind of stopped halfway in there. Yeah.
I didn't own it.
Well, you want the bad news or the really bad news?
Okay, headline one. Did you guys think I was talking about Rian Johnson in that teaser?
A little bit.
I wasn't. J.J. Abrams is producing a Star Wars sequel trilogy series.
No way. Cool.
Yeah, you're right. No way. Giant freaking robots, trusted and proven sources are at it again. And this time they're riding the wave of the verified quote from Kathleen Kennedy that there are plans for the return of the sequel trilogy characters. We'll talk about that in a later segment. But for now, according to the robot, J.J. Abrams is the one heading it up, and it will be a show on Disney+. All right, let's be clear. I would love to see these characters return, and I would love to see them do it in a series where they can develop the characters and their stories more deeply. And I'm not even opposed to J.J. Abrams having something to do with it, but I am not taking this report seriously. A lot more has to be behind it than a link to a page with stories they claim to have gotten right in the past. And so this is clickbait level 7.
Yeah. Kevin Feige, I don't know if we're ever going to figure out how to pronounce his last name.
I'm pretty sure we say Feige now.
It's Feige? Okay. Kevin Feige wants an X-Men series, but Disney wants a movie.
Oh my gosh, they're going to divorce.
Okay. It's obvious. Great minds think alike.
Yeah, you're
not
the
alike.
Same one. It's same site.
Yeah, giant freaking robot again. It claims that Kevin Feige and Disney are at odds over how to handle the X-Men now that Disney has control over the IP. The remote. I just cannot speak today. I'm sorry. The report from the robot's trusted and proven sources states that Feige wants a series while Disney wants a film. The only problem with this headline and story is that there's no way anyone can ever really know if this is true unless Feige or a Disney exec publicly confirm the disagreement, which They won't. So this one's getting a level 8.
Totally could just make it up. Yeah. And there's no way to know.
No way they can prove or disprove it.
Exactly. And Robert Pattinson reportedly refusing to work with Matt Reeves again unless he apologizes.
Whoa.
Gotta say you're sorry.
This is from We Got This Covered. For months, We Got This Covered and other clickbait sites have been stirring up stories saying that the Batman actor, Robert Pattinson, is in a heated feud with the film's director, Matt Reeves. This article is funny because it also acknowledges that neither Pattinson nor Reeves are going to be openly supportive of each other going into the film's release next March. This feels eerily similar to the supposed feud between Mark Hamill and the writer-director of The Last Jedi, Rian Johnson. And just like that story, there's likely no validity to this one. I give it a clickbait level of 9.
Boom. All right. We got this covered. You're out. All right. You made fun of the YouTuber last week, and then you put out stuff like this. Okay.
PotCon, they call it black.
Yeah.
Well, a new 30-second TV spot for the book of Boba Fett was released, giving us some nice looks at the upcoming series, along with a new article from Empire Magazine with some interesting quotes from Jon Favreau and Robert Rodriguez. We'll discuss that all next.
Be on your guard. There are older and fouler things than orcs in the deep places of the world.
All right, then, keep your secrets.
You're coming to us. Is as the footsteps of doom.
There are many magic rings in this world, Bilbo Baggins, and none of them should be used lightly.
I keep hearing everybody freak out about this, one Twi'lek that's in the spot or something. She's, apparently famous.
She's a maniac. No, that's a different person. Is that her? I can't remember now. I think she is.
What?
I think she's the chick from Flashdance.
Really?
But she's been in a bunch of other stuff since then.
Oh, so that's what everybody's freaking out about. She's famous or something. Because I keep hearing
I could be completely wrong, but for some reason that's what goes into my head.
Anyway, I was just curious. Yeah. But we got a new TV spot for the Book of Boba Fett.
I'm more freaking out about the guy in the background in that scene, but anyway.
I don't think it's what you think it is.
It is.
Now, it didn't give us too much new, but we got some more looks at Jabba's palace and the streets of Tatooine. But most importantly, we got to see a return of Slave One. I don't care what it's called now. I'm still calling it Slave One because that's way cooler. And that's what it was before. They capped off the TV spot in the best way possible, in my opinion, with Tamara Morrison nailing the line, "I am Boba Fett," which could be a reference to the holiday special, which is the first time, sort of, that we see Boba Fett and he introduces himself the same way. But overall, what did you guys think of this spot? I know it's short, but what are your guys' thoughts?
It was fast. We got to see more Tatooine. I think seeing Boba Fett in Bacta, a Bacta tank in there.
I don't remember seeing him in that. I watched
early on.
Oh, really? Okay.
He's laying there, and he's definitely in Bacta right after seeing some Tusken Raiders. And so I think that that's going to be part of the story. What that tells me is that we're going to find out how he got out of the Sarlacc pit. We're going to see it, and I think that's important.
Very.
With it. And this trailer actually made me a little bit more excited for the show because the more I thought about the trailer and watched it over and over again because of that one dude in the back between the two Twi'leks.
It's not Obi-Wan. He's dead.
No, it's going to show how he becomes the legend. The whole segment, the whole spot was called Legend. All right. Okay. At this point, he's not that legendary in canon.
Right.
We need to know how he became the Boba Fett that we all want him to be. And so this is going to be, yes, showing him taking over Jabba's organization and all of those things that we know are coming from this. But we're also going to get him telling the story, probably to Fennec or someone else, the story of his past and who he's been. And we're going to get flashbacks in that. We see him get Slave One. He's wearing the robes. He's not got the armor. That's a flashback. We see him in the Bacta after getting out of the Sarlacc pit. That's a flashback. So it's very easily could be that scene with the Twi'leks and this man that looks so much like Obi-Wan Kenobi, just for a brief second behind them, could be Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ben Kenobi, and I think that's what we're going to have with that. So
I mean, it is the book of Boba Fett, so it would fit things like that, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how I thought about this spot because I didn't take the time to watch it. It's been a long day, and I just didn't sit down and watch it. But I've, of course, seen a lot of things about it on Facebook, and the Bacta thing is something that's coming up a lot, and the Tusken Raiders are something that's coming up a lot. And so I really do think that we see a lot of flashbacks because it is, like you said, Sammy, the book of Boba Fett. This is going to be telling his whole story. There's a lot we don't know about this character. A lot of people are going to want to learn about this character. I mean, he has less than 20 minutes of screen time in the original trilogy.
Yeah, I mean, barely any.
And that's all we know about him from the end of the prequels with Clone Wars.
We've almost gotten more Boba Fett in the trailers to this series than we did in the entire original trilogy.
So there's a lot we need to know during that period. So I do think we see a lot of this stuff.
Now, if you've been keeping up with the trailers and the TV spots and stuff, you'll notice they're not really giving away much plot. Why do you guys think they're playing plot details so close to the chest with this series?
Well, I think that they're just wanting to. I think they know what they're wanting. They're like, okay, we don't need to reveal a lot of the plot because they are like, we have Boba Fett in the title.
That's enough.
We don't need to reveal a lot of plot. I think they're planning a lot of things. I'm wanting to see a lot of bounty hunters from the original prequel trilogy. And
like
the
Bosk
Clone Wars
and
and like Bosk.
IG-88.
Cad Bane, maybe. We don't know what happened with him. That would be awesome to see.
That would
Cad
be
Bane.
cool, yeah.
We would see maybe... I'm not sure. Maybe, heck, we'll see Asajj Ventress at some point.
Isn't
put
she
into
dead?
there.
Here's who we're going to see. All right, we're going to see Ben Kenobi because I already said that, right?
No, we
Right, obviously.
We're going to see Kira because that's going to be the villain of this. The Crimson Dawn. We've already talked about that from the first trailer.
Yeah.
I still believe that Crimson Dawn are the bad guys in this. They're the counter group that he's going up against in this. And he has to tell the story of how he's already battled against them in the past.
Yeah.
So as he tells flashbacks to this, you're going to talk Crimson Dawn, which means we're going to get Maul in live action again. And you cannot tell the story of Boba Fett without the character that it created the need for Boba Fett, and that is going to be Han Solo. So I think these are the characters we're going to get.
Interesting, yeah. Well, Empire Magazine wrote an excellent article on the Book of Boba Fett. They included a quote from Jon Favreau stating that there's a power vacuum now that Jabba is gone, and Boba is attempting to fill that in now in the series. Favreau also states that Boba isn't usually a newcomer to things. He's an excellent bounty hunter, and he's good at pretty much everything else he does, but he's never been a crime lord before, and there's going to be a learning curve to that. And since Bib Fortuna was no Jabba, Boba probably has a lot of cleaning up to do when it comes to the organization. Do you guys think that Boba is biting off more than he can chew with this? Because Jabba was the galaxy's biggest crime boss ever, and now Boba is just trying to take over that operation.
I think it's going to be harder than the fanboys in us want it to be. We want Boba Fett to be like, come in and just be easy to take over because he's so cool, right? He's
Right.
Boba Fett. It's going to be sort of a Luke Skywalker, The Last Jedi moment. We're going to see weakness. We're going to see doubt. We're going to see some struggles. We're going to see things that it's not going to be simple for him. But that is why we have to have the backstory of Boba Fett to show who he is.
And how even becoming a bounty hunter wasn't easy.
Exactly. So that we get that whole story. So I think that that's actually going to be really good.
Yeah, I think it's going to be... I mean, he has, of course, Fennec on his side, and that definitely helps because everybody knows about Fennec and her, status in the world of bounty hunters. She is one of the galaxy's greatest assassins. So I think we will be seeing a lot of Boba Fett cleaning up, but I don't think it'll be too difficult for him. He has a lot of people backing up with his organization. And so I think he's just going to try to make everything a little bit more tidy, put together.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be easy because Jabba had a lot of respect going for him, and he worked to get that respect, but now this new guy is coming in. Even if everybody knows of him as the world's greatest bounty hunter, he fell off the face of the galaxy for years. But everybody thought he was dead, and now he just shows up. It's going to take some work.
And nobody probably has seen his face. So how do we know that he's really Boba Fett?
Yeah,
See, this is the whole point of this series. He can't actually get respect. Which is what one of the things about this trailer too was this idea of respect,
right?
get respect. He can't rule with respect if no one respects him. So he has to prove he's Boba Fett. And I think that's what this series is going to be about.
Going back to your flashback idea, wouldn't it be cool if they went way back, like just, by the end of episode 3 back, and they had Daniel Logan come in and reprise
I
the
would
role?
love that.
That would be super cool, because it's going to be tough to de-age Tamora that much, or they can just leave the helmet on the whole time. But now we don't hear anything of Boba Fett or his new crime organization in the sequel trilogy. Does this mean he's destined to fail, or dare I say die in this? What do y'all think?
No, not die. Definitely not die. You don't bring him back just to kill him off again. That's TV show 101. Even soap operas know not to do that. But
well, no, in soap operas you can bring him back, right?
Exactly.
So.
But I don't think that his organization.
And we're literally talking about a guy that got swallowed by a sarlacc.
Right.
So.
Exactly. That's what I was saying. But I don't think we'll see the organization fail per se. I mean, we still don't know what happens with a lot of things in the sequel trilogy. We don't know what happens with Thrawn. We don't hear about him. We don't know what happens with a lot of big plot lines that we know are going to be taking place during then. So, yeah, I don't think we'll see his organization die.
What do you think?
No, I think he's sticking around. I think they want to have maybe future seasons of this. And so I definitely think they have big plans for Boba Fett going forward. So.
Yeah. Well, Robert Rodriguez, the show's director, states that we'll see a lot of Boba's true character this season, but also expect him to turn barbarian mode at some point. Now, this show is going to give us the most in-depth look at the character that we've probably ever seen, even more than Clone Wars. Can Boba Fett be more than the menacing masked bounty hunter we see in the original trilogy? Dad?
Yeah, I think that's the whole purpose of this series, is to show depth to this character and history with this character, and to put him in a position for a future in this storyline. This is part of the Mandoverse, okay? And so it's, just like Ahsoka is part of the Mandoverse. They're setting up, I really do hope that they are setting up Ahsoka and Mandalorian, of course, and what they were maybe not really Kenobi. No, I think that's a separate storyline. But Mando, the Mandalorian, Ahsoka, Book of Boba Fett, they were planning on Rangers of the New Republic. We'll talk about that in a few minutes in my segment. But all of that was designed to be around the same stories, or the same bigger story. There's going to be an Avengers moment in the future for these series, and they have to put Boba in the right position for that. So
okay, Nate, what do you think?
Yeah, I think they're going to be showing a lot more of Boba Fett and just who he is, because again, we don't know who Boba Fett is, and so like you said, what drew Boba Fett to you, or what made you like Boba Fett, was just because he was a cool, menacing bounty hunter in the original trilogy. But now we get to see who he actually is, which might make some people not like him in certain ways, might prefer Mandalorians, say now, because he looks cooler and they like the character better, or anything like that. So I think we will start to see the fandom learn more about Boba Fett.
Yeah. Well, I think Boba's grand reappearance in the Mandalorian was nothing short of glorious in my book. But I think it's safe to say that is the barbarian mode we will get to see more of in the series. I mean, he was sitting there using a gaffy stick to bash in stormtroopers. Does this make you guys excited for some of the I mean, we've got the tender moments with Boba where we'll get more of his character, and then we got action moments here.
I don't think we'll ever get any tender.
No, but you know what I mean. We're going to get to see more of.
I think we got character moments, and then we're going to see Boba Fett kick some butt.
Does that make you guys excited for this?
Absolutely.
Of course.
Yeah. Now, if you think about it, there would be no Boba Fett without Han Solo.
That's right.
Like you said. I mean, he was created in order to have someone track down and capture Solo. Now, there's some rumors floating around right now that Alden Ehrenreich may make an appearance as Solo in the series. Alden did sign a contract for 2 more films after Solo. That never happened. And with Lando getting his own series, you'd think Solo would be the next to get a re-entry. Now, this could be through flashbacks, like what you were saying, Dad. I mean, it's reasonable to think that the two had met before the events of Empire Strikes Back. Dad, Solo's your guy. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure you'd want him to come back more than any of us, but do you think this theory holds any water?
I have a hard time even speaking the words about how much I want to see this happen. And I'm praying that maybe there is, through Han Solo, through Kira, through Maul, through the flashbacks, maybe there is a connection to backwards to Kenobi. Because originally when Solo came out, the thought that we had, the discussion that we had with that big cameo at the end with Maul and Kira becoming the leader of Crimson Dawn was that Han Solo and Chewbacca were heading back to Tatooine, or going to Tatooine in order to take this job for Jabba. That was where they were going to meet Boba Fett. There was going to be more Kira in that. There was going to have Maul tied into it to somehow, and some Kenobi stuff with that. And so all of that seems to be potentially still in the mix until we're proven wrong. So,
Nate, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to be, I would absolutely love to see Solo, Alden Ehrenreich as Solo again, just because I love the movie so much. Do I think it'll happen? Probably not, but I can still dream. So I hope it does.
Yeah. Well, it looks like Book of Boba Fett is going to give us a closer look at the titular character, while also giving us that epic action and intriguing criminal underworld politics, if you can even call it that. Now, this series is set to debut December 29th on Disney+, so be sure to give it a watch. I think it's a safe bet we're going to.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take time off work so I can watch it like 12 times. Good job.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Good job on your segment. Awesome. This weekend is a gift at the movie theater. You can take time to catch up on the films you either haven't seen yet or rewatch ones you love. We'll explain next on Movie Moments.
At last we will reveal ourselves to the Jedi. At last we will have revenge.
Yeah, so the gift we're talking about is that there are no new releases this weekend.
How is that a gift?
In some
It's
ways,
a white
it can
elephant
be good,
gift, right?
No,
it's good because you can go and watch movies that you haven't seen yet, just
like
because.
Encanto.
Like Encanto.
Oh, yeah, we still need
Encanto.
Or, you
That's
know,
good.
you can go see Eternals if you really want to, or something, you know? Go see No Time to Die again. That's what I've done. Yeah, so just go to the theater and watch a movie you haven't quite seen yet in preparation for the next weekend, which I don't know if there's anything coming out that weekend either. But
Yeah, there is.
there is.
Yeah, West Side. Let's see, the 3rd. That's this weekend, and then the next weekend is the West Side Story.
Yeah, okay.
And I really want to see that.
It'll be good.
And yeah,
For trailers, we had the Sing 2 final trailer, which I guess gave us a little bit more plot, but not much.
at least it tried to tell.
In
a story.
some ways, it still feels like they're giving us so much, but in other ways, they're like giving us nothing. Like they're giving away whole things, like the tiger guy, the lion guy. He
comes
shows back. He comes back. Alrighty, well that's spoiled. But then we don't know what the actual movie itself is about. I don't know. Not great marketing, but when we talk about
really great singing,
really great singing,
Good music.
which is what the movie's about. So.
Yeah.
for box office numbers, Encanto got 27 million,
That's not
which
bad.
is not a bad opening.
It's a great
Ghostbusters Afterlife still stayed strong with 24 million.
That's really good.
And House of Gucci got 14.
No, don't do it. Don't do it.
I'm
Don't
doing
do
it.
it. No.
Father, Son, and House of Gucci.
Which 14 million isn't a fantastic opening, but it's good enough for a release.
Do you know how Eternals did?
Didn't do that. Good.
It didn't do
It was
that.
4th place. I don't remember.
But
it was
hey,
like, it was like 10 million. or
House of
something.
Gucci did great for Ridley
What it
Scott
is.
after his interesting comments about why the last duel bombed.
Yeah, that's a guy that just cannot read the room anymore when it comes to movie fans.
That was hilarious.
He's a great director,
Yes.
and the other thing is, stop putting your microphone in the face of a director that's been doing this for 40 years and asking him why he hasn't done a Marvel movie or if he wants to do a Marvel movie. Stop doing that to these directors.
dumb.
Let them talk about the movie that they made.
Yeah,
I
for
can
real.
understand why these guys get tired of having to answer questions about Marvel. So
Yep.
Ridley Scott's an amazing director. Give him a break.
Gladiator was fantastic.
It was. There was a lot of stuff he's done that's fantastic.
I want to watch Gladiator again.
All right. Is that it?
That is.
We're done?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, then I guess it's my turn.
Yeah.
All right. Well, as we're less than 30 days away from the premiere of the Book of Boba Fett, which we just got done talking about, the Star Wars publicity machine has gone into hyperspace. A new issue of Empire magazine, it released last week. I really want to get it. And in it were some very interesting quotes by the creative geniuses behind a galaxy far, far away. We've already discussed Favreau's comments about the Book of Boba Fett a little bit. Let's check out what Kathleen and Dave had to say about Kenobi, Ahsoka, and more.
Hokey religions and ancient weapons are no match for a good blaster at your side, kid.
Rebellions are built on hope.
Force is with me, and I am with the Force.
If you live long enough, you see the same eyes in different people.
Has a bunch more information, more photos and stuff like that are not on the online version. So I really want to get a copy of that.
I think I saw a copy of it at like Walmart.
I would love for
We
us
need
to
one. It's got Boba on the cover, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, yeah, I did see that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we need that.
Absolutely. All right, so let's talk a little bit about some of these quotes. First of all, Kathleen Kennedy gave an interview, and she talked a little bit about to start this series that I don't know if it's got a lot of publicity or people talking about it, but it's about Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I think I may have heard of that one.
Weren't they supposed to release a trailer a little bit ago?
Too soon. Okay. They did release a great sizzle reel, which we talked about on the show. It was fantastic. Anyway, here's what Kathleen Kennedy said about the moment on set when Hayden and Ewan came together for the first time. She said, the thing that was the most exciting was being on set and watching the two of them get excited. They hadn't seen one another in a long time. I was surprised at just how incredibly emotional it was for each of them to find themselves back in these roles and just realizing how important Star Wars was to each of them. It was the beginning of their careers. So Nate, after the prequels, Ewan and Hayden's careers have kind of gone in two different directions. Mm-hmm. Do you think that this series can be kind of that coaxium and the hyperdrive of Hayden's future on the big screen?
I definitely think it could help. It's going to change a lot, especially since they're bringing him into Ahsoka as well. He's starting to become more and more prominent in these series and maybe at some point a movie for Star Wars. And so he'll have good writing now. Not saying that the prequels are bad, just we all agree they did not have the best writing. The dialogue is clunky, but we'll have good writing now. He's a great actor. He can do fantastic with this. So if people see his good acting chops, I think that it'll start getting more.
So I'm just waiting for the bad news segment next week when we got this covered. Does an article on how Tatooine Sons is reporting that a Vader movie is coming.
Yeah.
And that's actually the 2023 unreleased, unnamed movie now that Rogue Squadron has gotten delayed.
I think it makes sense.
It does. Mm-hmm. Okay. Sam, what do you think about Hayden's career prospects now that this is coming out? Do you think this is going to help?
Yeah, I definitely think getting him back into the public conscience is going to help. I hope it makes a difference. I hope he gets all sorts of stuff now. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing him in something like a Marvel movie. I mean, they brought in Harry Styles, for goodness sake. They could bring in
Christian Bale?
Yeah, I mean, they could easily find a way to bring him in. But even then, I just hope it launches him back into the public consciousness and he starts getting back into some bigger movies. But I think it's just exciting to see him back in this role. Even though he is kind of Darth Vader in this, I think it'll be interesting to see his take on more the Darth Vader side of things, because we saw him play Anakin for a long time, but we didn't really see him play Vader much. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah. She did mention, I'm not sure it was in the same article or not. I think it might have been a little bit about the Rangers of the Republic, of the New Republic. Is that what it was? It was Rangers of the New Republic. She did talk a little bit about how they made changes with that. It's pretty much a confirmation that the series has been scrapped, which we haven't actually been told specifically with that. She said, we'd never written any scripts or anything on that. Some of that will figure into future episodes. I'm sure of the next iteration of Mandalorian. So it's not much of a surprise that Rangers has been axed. Kind of saw that coming. But it's also pretty clear that the story's being told in the Mandalorian. We're opening up things for Rangers. Sam, how do you feel about integrating those into the Mandalorian?
I'm disappointed. I was wanting this series. But I think they can pull it off. I mean, if they hadn't gotten too far into the storytelling, I don't think it'll be too hard for them to pivot and introduce maybe a new character or just have another character take it over. Maybe Grief Karga takes over. Is it Grief? Mm-hmm. That's Creed's character, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Maybe he starts doing something like that. I don't know. But I'm still disappointed that it's not getting a whole show. I really liked the character of Cara Dune, so it's disappointing that we're not going to get any more of them.
I think that it's a mistake to put some of the stories they were wanting to put in that into Mandalorian. Why is because it can take away from the Mandalorian because they have stories they were wanting to tell, but I feel like it may take away from, the titular character.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, well, we were wanting to tell these stories in another show, but we'll just throw them into a 45-minute episode and totally take away from the Mandalorian.
Yeah, all these
which is something that I don't want. And it's something that can really hurt the series.
Mm-hmm. That's a criticism that they had of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. They had some of these side characters and things like that.
And it's a criticism that Hawkeye is starting to get. I don't know why or how. I felt like every subplot was necessary. They thought the family stuff with Jack and Kate was unnecessary, but that's going to come into play way later. But yeah.
She then had some really interesting comments about the sequel trilogy, specifically the characters. And when I say that, I'm assuming it's Rey and Finn and Poe specifically. She says, certainly those are not characters we're going to forget. They will live on. And those are conversations that are going on with the creative team as well. So I have two questions in response to that quote, BB Nate. First, do you think these stories are going to be told on the big screen or the TV screen? And second, will Adam Driver be a part of those stories?
I think if they're smart, they have a TV series version. I think they put them in TV because then you can have the movies start to focus on other things. But if people still want to continue on with that series, then they can. Also, the people that can be really toxic and just hate on it have the option to not watch it if they don't want to watch a Star Wars movie. So it's definitely could be a better option to do a TV series. And if Adam Driver is going to be a part of it, I think that it could be possible if they pay him enough money. It's that's the decision for each of the cast members. I mean, all the stuff that they went through from the fans, I don't know if I could ever be paid a high enough amount of money. That makes no sense, but to come back from all that. So it's all depending on what they decide to do.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what stories you could tell with these characters unless you start going off into the future, which would be fine. But then it just feels like, you're starting another trilogy and stuff. So it's difficult. And I think it'd be very difficult to get the actors to come back and play these characters. They've pretty much all said, I'm done with that, which is disappointing. So maybe with enough money, they'll come back, but it's tough, and I'm just not sure what stories you could tell with these characters. But if they came out with a TV show or a movie with these characters, you better believe we're going to watch it.
Yeah, I mean, the only story that I can see them actually telling would be you have sort of parallel stories going along. You have Poe as the new leader of the New Republic after post Exegol, dealing with kind of rebuilding the entire galaxy and the infrastructure and trying to avoid the mistakes that Mon Mothma and Leia and some of that they made with the first, after the original trilogy. And then you have the same type of a scenario taking place with Rey and with Finn, where Rey is training Finn in the Force because that was a plot line that seemed to be coming up in the Rise of Skywalker, and maybe reestablishing the Jedi Order, but doing it from a position of health and strength versus kind of what happened on that. It does feel we couldn't tell these stories originally with Luke and Leia and Han, so now let's tell these stories with Finn and Poe and Rey. That's what I'm concerned about on that. What about Adam Driver?
Yeah, I mean, I would absolutely love to see him come back as Kylo. Again, it's tough because he's kind of dead. Yeah. If you're doing post Rise of Skywalker, obviously, if they maybe did some flashbacks or did like a Knights of Ren series or something like that, I think that would be cool, and I would love to see him come back. But again, he was also adamant that he was done with it too. So,
yeah, except this week he came out and he said that if it was the right director, he would definitely consider it.
Okay, so if they're
right director, he means Rian Johnson, right?
I mean, if they're able to manage it, I think he could come back, and I think I would love that. I think the fans are fans of him, and yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely a real possibility.
Yeah. In another article, Dave Filoni was out talking a little bit about, obviously the book of Boba Fett, but he got talking about Ahsoka and that storyline. And he, the quote that from that is where he says, it's thrilling. I got to tell you, it's something you imagine doing for a long time. And then it's kind of startling when you're sitting there and now you have to do it. I thought of this adventure for Ahsoka for a long time, and it's interesting to see how it's evolved. Years ago, I never would have imagined it was sprung from a branch of a tree that had anything to do, the trust tree.
It's the trust
Exactly.
tree.
It's the trust tree. He was totally referencing the trust tree right there. That had anything to do with a guy like Din Djarin or a child like that looks like Yoda. It's a great lesson for me on how, when you have other creatives like Jon Favreau, they can help lend such dimension and depth to what you're doing. Sam, we have Natasha Liu Bordizzo playing Sabine Wren confirmed. We've got some real significant rumors about Mina Masad and Lars Mikkelsen coming to play Ezra Bridger and Thrawn, and all of that would be in the Ahsoka series. Is this series shaping up to be a live action follow-up to the Rebels series?
I mean, while I don't think any of us would be disappointed with that outcome, I think
you better watch your next words.
I think you need to be careful, because this isn't Rebels Part 2. It's Ahsoka. And it needs to focus on Ahsoka. It doesn't need to be, we couldn't, we couldn't justify writing a season 5 of Rebels, so let's throw it in here. It still needs to follow Ahsoka and needs to feel like her own story. Do I mind if they tie up a few of the loose ends for Rebels? Absolutely not. But I don't think you've just got to be careful with that. It needs to be its own thing.
I understand where you're coming from, but they're not doing that. Even if they have the Rebels series stuff, it is a journey for Ahsoka. We've already confirmed that Hayden Christensen is Darth Vader is in this series. There's going to be conflict with that with Ahsoka and Anakin, because she knows that Vader is Anakin, and we're going to be seeing a lot happen with that. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw flashbacks with Ahsoka and Anakin, because when they revealed the casting, they said he is coming back as Anakin and not as Vader, like they did.
It could be Force Ghost
with Kenobi. And even if it's Force Ghost, you still have that emotional storytelling with that and the conflict with that. This is going to be seeing Ahsoka either grow or get to the point where she's going to pass down her mantle or become the master of Ezra finally, to lead him to the next generation of Jedi. I feel like that's what she knows her mission has to be. Find Ezra. And I think that is what Ahsoka is going to be. So.
I'm just sitting here thinking about the possibility of an Ezra Bridger live action being trained by Ahsoka in the Force. And I'm like emotional about this idea.
And if we see Kanan as a Force ghost.
Oh, wow.
As they're training.
Dang.
All right.
Time to go cry in a corner.
Exactly. We've said it before, but it bears repeating. The book of Boba Fett and/or Obi-Wan Kenobi and The Mandalorian season 3, likely The Bad Batch season 2, all releasing within the next 12 months. 2022 is the year of Star Wars. We're going to get the content. The real question is if Star Wars can stay relevant and mainstream in a world that seems dominated by Marvel. All right. Anything else you guys want to talk about?
Anything else?
Yeah, Tom Holland will return for another trilogy of MCU Spider-Man movies.
At least one of them. And judging by one of the quotes he said, I think that if he doesn't return for the other two, it's Miles Morales that's going to become Spider-Man. Because Tom Holland said that he wants to see the man. He doesn't want to play Spider-Man. He says he's doing something wrong if he's playing Spider-Man after he's 30 years old. And he says he wants the next generation.
It sounds like we're getting Spider-Man the college years, which means we get awesome. An MCU version of Gwen Stacy.
Ooh. Exactly. That'd be really cool. Zack Snyder's Thanksgiving photo video thing teases Final Crisis, and fans are already speculating because maybe
he's just a comic fan and he was catching up on some reading.
He had
over
2 notebooks on top of it too, which he writes scripts in notebooks.
He's a very dedicated
how do you
fan.
feel about the idea that maybe the Snyderverse continues and it's based off of some of the storylines in Final Crisis?
That's Final Crisis is like my favorite comic with DC. I would absolutely love to see it. Hey, I'd be fine if the Snyderverse continued, but if it was based off of Final Crisis, I don't know what I would do.
Excited about that.
Of course.
Yeah. Your reaction when I showed you that was pretty intense with it, and in a really positive way. Dark Horse Comics, they have been a part of Star Wars comics for years. It was announced last week, they are returning to the Star Wars
Are they
galaxy.
doing Legends?
Now they're doing High Republic stuff. They're doing a whole new lines of it. It's going to be
awesome.
Yeah. So
very
that
cool.
is exciting for comic book people. We We've teased it a little bit at the beginning. I even teased it in the middle. Please, you do not want to miss Friday's episode with Josh Sala from Marvel Let's Play. I swear there is a story about a urinal and a certain
you're going to give away a little too much.
Are you okay?
I just tune in.
All right, there you go.
Tune in and listen to that episode. It's at the end, and it's the best. It's one of the best moments in podcast history, not just our podcast, all podcast history. You're gonna want. I'm not overselling it, so please check it out. Cufflinks.com. Thank you so much for sponsoring us. Make sure you check them out and use Tatooine 15 at the checkout in order to save 50% on your entire order. Thank you so much for listening to Tatooine Sons, a pop culture podcast.
If you had a good time listening, it'd be awesome if you could share this with your friends.
Yeah. And of course, this show's only a small part of the Tatooine Sons world. We've got shows coming out on Fridays, but also be sure to like us on Facebook, join our Facebook discussion group, and follow us on Twitter to get in on all the action and keep up to date on everything we've got going on at TatooineSons.com.
Yeah, don't forget to follow the show on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss that episode Friday with that Josh and a urinal and other stuff. And remember that if you drop us a review, we're going to go from something really crude to something really important. Drop us a review at podchaser.com/TatooineSons. Please do that. When you give us a review, we make a donation in your honor to one child to help a child living in extreme poverty. It takes you 45 seconds and you make an impact in a child's life. So please do that. It means a lot to us. Anything else that you guys, gentlemen, you amazing guys, thank you for doing this. I'm just going to pause. This is one of the highlights of my week every week. Thank you guys for doing this.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm happy to do it. It's fun too.
Anything else you guys would like to say?
May the force be with you.
May the force be with you.
May the force be with you always.
This party's over.
I like that Wookiee.
Don't get technical with me.
Joey, please.